Hello, and welcome to Your Brain Lied, the podcast that explores the sneaky ways your mind can trick you and what to do about it. I'm your host, and today we're tackling a big one: motivation. Specifically, how the traditional understanding of motivation can really let you down. We've all been there, right? Scrolling through Instagram, seeing some super fit person doing 1,000,000 burpees at 5 a.m. and thinking, wow, I need to get my act together. I need to be more motivated. We pump ourselves up, maybe even set a really ambitious goal, and for a day, maybe two, we're on fire, we're crushing it. But then, life happens. The initial spark fades. We're tired, stressed, maybe even a little bit bored. And suddenly, that mountain of burpees looks a lot less appealing. This is where the traditional understanding of motivation fails us. We treat it like a tap. You just turn it on and boom, instant action. But what happens when the tap runs dry? What happens when you just don't feel like doing the thing? That's what we're diving into today. The myth of constant motivation, why relying on it is a recipe for disappointment, and more importantly, what actually works when you're running on empty. So, what's the problem with motivation? It's not that wanting things is bad, of course. Wanting to achieve goals, to improve ourselves, to create something meaningful, that's all part of being human. The problem is the expectation that we should always be fired up, always ready to leap into action. Think of motivation like a sugar rush. It gives you a quick burst of energy, a temporary high. But what goes up must come down. And when that sugar rush crashes, you're left feeling even worse than before. You feel guilty, disappointed, maybe even a little bit ashamed that you couldn't maintain that initial level of enthusiasm. Plus, motivation is often tied to external factors. Maybe you're motivated by praise, recognition, or even fear of judgment. But those things are outside of your control. You can't always rely on someone else to give you that boost you need. And that leaves you vulnerable, feeling dependent on external forces to get anything done. Imagine someone who's trying to eat healthier. They see an ad for a new diet program, complete with before and after pictures and testimonials. They get super motivated. They buy all the ingredients, download the app, and spend hours meal prepping. For a week, they're strict and disciplined. But then, a stressful week at work hits. They're exhausted, haven't slept well, and suddenly that pre-made salad just doesn't cut it. They crave comfort food, they give in, and then the guilt sets in. They think, I'm a failure. I have no willpower. I'll never be able to stick to this. And the whole healthy eating plan goes out the window. What happened? They relied solely on motivation. And when that motivation faltered, they had no backup plan, no other tools to rely on. So if motivation isn't the answer, what is? It's about shifting your focus from feeling like doing something to doing something, regardless of how you feel. It's about building systems, habits, and strategies that can carry you through those low-energy days. Think of it like this. Motivation is like the wind. Sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's gentle, and sometimes it's completely absent. You can't control the wind, but you can build a sailboat that can navigate even when the wind isn't blowing. One key element is understanding your own energy patterns. Are you a morning person or a night owl? When are you most productive? When are you most likely to procrastinate? Knowing your own rhythms allows you to schedule tasks for when you're most likely to succeed. For example, let's say you want to start writing more. Instead of waiting for inspiration to strike or for that feeling of intense motivation to kick in, you could commit to writing for just 15 minutes every morning before you check your email or social media. It's a small, manageable commitment that you can stick to even when you're not feeling particularly inspired. And often, once you get started, you'll find that the momentum builds, and you end up writing for longer than you planned. Another helpful strategy is to break down large, overwhelming tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of thinking, I need to write a whole book, think, I need to write one paragraph today. Instead of thinking, I need to clean the entire house, think, I need to wipe down the kitchen counters. This is about lowering the activation energy, the amount of effort it takes to get started. The less resistance you encounter, the more likely you are to take action. Even when you're not feeling motivated, it's like pushing a boulder. It takes a lot of effort to get it moving, but once it's rolling, it's much easier to keep it going. Another big piece of this is cultivating self-compassion. So often when we fail to meet our own expectations, we beat ourselves up. We tell ourselves we're lazy, undisciplined, or just not good enough. But this self-criticism only makes things worse. It drains our energy, undermines our confidence, and makes us even less likely to take action. Instead, try treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. If a friend came to you and said, "I tried to start a new workout routine, but I skipped a day, and now I feel like a failure," what would you say? You probably wouldn't tell them they were lazy and worthless. You'd likely offer encouragement, remind them that everyone has setbacks, and suggest they just pick up where they left off. So, why not offer yourself the same compassion? Recognize that setbacks are a normal part of the process. Forgive yourself for not being perfect. And remind yourself that you're still capable of achieving your goals, even if you're not feeling 100% motivated all the time. Imagine someone who's trying to learn a new language. They've been studying diligently for weeks, but then they hit a wall. They're struggling to understand the grammar, they're making mistakes, and they start to feel discouraged. They could easily give up, telling themselves they're just not cut out for language learning. But instead, they choose to be kind to themselves. They acknowledge that learning a new language is challenging, they celebrate their progress so far, and they remind themselves that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. This self-compassion allows them to persevere, to keep practicing, even when they're feeling frustrated. Now, let's talk about the power of routine. We all resist it. We think it's boring and stifling to creativity. But routine can be your secret weapon when motivation is missing in action. Think about brushing your teeth. Do you wake up every morning and decide, based on your level of motivation, whether or not you're going to brush your teeth? Of course not. It's a habit. It's something you do automatically, without even thinking about it. You can apply the same principle to other areas of your life. By creating routines around the tasks you want to accomplish, you can bypass the need for motivation altogether. For instance, if you want to read more, you could establish a routine of reading for 30 minutes every evening before bed. You don't have to wait for the perfect book to appear or for the overwhelming urge to read to strike. You simply commit to reading for 30 minutes, regardless of how you feel. Over time, this routine will become ingrained, and you'll find yourself reaching for a book almost automatically. Routines provide structure and predictability, which can be especially helpful during times of stress or uncertainty. They create a sense of normalcy and control, which can help to reduce anxiety and boost your overall well-being. And finally, let's remember that it's okay to rest. We live in a culture that glorifies hustle and productivity. We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us to work harder, push ourselves further, and never stop striving for more. But this relentless pursuit of achievement can be exhausting, and it can actually undermine our long-term success. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is to take a break, to step away from your work, to recharge your batteries, and to allow yourself to simply be. This doesn't mean you're lazy or unmotivated. It means you're recognizing your limits, honoring your needs, and investing in your long-term well-being. Think of it like a marathon runner. They don't sprint the entire race. They pace themselves, they conserve their energy, and they take breaks when needed. They know that if they push themselves too hard, too early, they'll burn out and won't be able to finish the race. The same is true in life. You can't sprint indefinitely. You need to pace yourself, to take breaks, and to prioritize rest. So the next time you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, or unmotivated, give yourself permission to rest. Take a nap, go for a walk, spend time with loved ones, or simply do something you enjoy. You might be surprised at how much more productive and motivated you feel when you return to your work. So, where does that leave us? Well, hopefully, with a healthier, more realistic understanding of motivation. It's not the magic bullet we often think it is. It's a fleeting feeling. A spark that can ignite action, but can also fizzle out quickly. The real key to achieving your goals, to building a fulfilling life, is to focus on building systems, habits, and strategies that can carry you through those moments when motivation is nowhere to be found. To understand your energy patterns, break down tasks, Practice self-compassion, establish routines, and prioritize rest. And remember, it's okay to have low energy days. It's okay to feel unmotivated. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you're human. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few questions to reflect on. First, what is one small habit or routine you can implement this week to help you move forward on your goals, even when you're not feeling motivated? Think simple, sustainable, and easy to implement. Second, how can you practice more self-compassion when you experience setbacks or feel like you're not living up to your own expectations? What would you say to a friend in the same situation? Can you offer yourself that same kindness? And finally, are you giving yourself enough time to rest and recharge? What's one thing you can do this week to prioritize your well-being and prevent burnout? I hope this episode has given you some new perspectives on motivation and some practical tools to help you navigate the ups and downs of life. Thanks for listening to Your Brain Lied. Until next time, be kind to yourself and keep exploring. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.